Hey there guys, Shot here. Today we're going to take a look at a game called Metal Slug 3. This is a classic early 90s action arcade game that got ported over to the PC recently and currently now on Steam, of course, for the price of $7.99 or $8 as we all know it to be. So this was originally released by SNK, the same guys that brought you games like King of Fighters and Final Fight and stuff like that. And this was ported over by a company called .emu. Alright, so we'll take a look at the port and how it functions. So we'll start with the main missions and see what's in there. You can choose your difficulties. It's already a pretty hard game, so we're going to start with medium, if you don't mind. Then you have arcade mode, where it's exactly what you would expect it to be. You go through the game, either one player or two player, and just kind of make your way through the game, kind of like the arcade, hence arcade mode. Then you have mission mode, where you can choose which mission you want to start off in as you unlock it from the arcade mode. So I guess it's a means to kind of practice the harder levels without having to always work your way up there. Then we have online mission, which is a little bit disappointing, unfortunately, as there's no actual public lobbies. I know it says lobby there, but it's not really a public lobby. I actually have to invite my friends from my friends list in order for somebody to join, so I can't really join like a random stranger, which is something I was kind of looking forward to. It's nice that they did put in online mode at all into this game, but it definitely is bare minimum as far as online play. So I was a little bit disappointed by that. It's a little unfortunate. Then we have gallery, which is basically just, you know, your collection of trophies as you play through the game. And of course you have your settings. You can actually rebind your controls, which I do recommend you doing, but what I recommend even more is to use a 360 controller, or if you have an arcade pad, use that. Because this is originally an arcade game, it's definitely made to be played in that kind of control system. I just find keyboard controls for 2D side-scrollers on the PC to be very, very awkward. Maybe that's just me, but I definitely prefer to play those kind of games on a console controller, or if at all possible, an arcade pad, which unfortunately I don't have. And of course you can customize this controller as well. Then you have language settings, which is exactly what you would expect. You choose different languages. And your video settings, which is pretty minimum. That's okay though, because this is an old school 2D sprite game, so I don't expect anything crazy like anti-aliasing or, you know, stuff like that, okay? So you do have resolution, you do have full screen mode, and you do have aspect ratio. These filtering systems are actually pretty bad, if you don't mind me saying. Video filtering, all it really does is kind of layer a thick Gaussian blur over an entire screen, which really is pretty horrible looking. I'd rather keep the sharp pixelated look of all the sprites and the original art myself. And then there's scan lines, which is also kind of a weird filter system to give us. This is in the 80s, we're not RoboCop, I don't understand why this is here at all. So don't turn on the filtering systems at all, they're really pretty terrible. Just keep that pixelated look. It looks pretty good. Alright, trust me on that. So, and then you have leaderboards, which is actually very important in this game, as this is an arcade game, and like most arcade games, it's all about the points. It's all about getting up on that leaderboard. So, yeah. So it's good that they included it, but that's, you know, pretty basic, really. And the biggest travesty of this port, of this options and menus and stuff, is that there's no audio settings, which is very, very weird, especially in today's PC gaming world, that they've neglected something as simple as audio settings, which definitely made this recording a little bit more difficult, as I had to turn the gain up manually on the mic, which does kind of, you know, hinder the sound quality a little bit. But, oh, whatever. It's definitely an oversight. I think they could put it in pretty easily if they really wanted to. So that's enough about the menus. Let's talk about how they actually ported the actual game. So let's just start a game. Alright, let's go in arcade mode. One player. I'm lonesome. I always choose Eerie. I always has, even as a kid, so I'm gonna continue that trend. Don't ask me why. Now, this is Metal Slug 3. As you can see, it looks pretty old school. But that's okay, because especially with indie game culture becoming like kind of a big thing these days, this style of graphics is, you know, it's very, very popular, and emulated, to be honest, even in today's modern games. As you can see, the animation and the art style and just the overall quality of the visuals is extremely high, and still very much holds up to even today's standards, even today's modern games. This definitely still holds up. This is absolutely a beautiful game. It has definitely inspired a lot of indie gamers as far as stylizations of their games. One game that comes to mind for sure is definitely Mercenary Kings. That definitely drew a lot of inspirations from the visual stylings of Metal Slug, and for good reason. I mean, just look at it; it's gorgeous. Not even just the animation, not even just you know, the overall art, but also the style and you know, just the style and you know, the I don't know how to put it, but it just looks damn good. just take my word for it, okay? It looks good. I mean, you can see it for yourself, right? It does look damn good. So it's actually amazing how well it still stands up, even to today's standards. So there you go. It does feature branching paths, as you can see. I took the low path because there was a prisoner down there and I wanted to free him. And the sound quality of this game is actually quite good as well. As you can tell, the music is also quite good. I'm sure you can hear it right now. It's also an inspiration to today's developers, I have to say. You can definitely hear, you can hear how this, you can see and hear how this has influenced today's modern gaming, especially the indie scene. I'm sure you can. But yeah, there you go. That's enough about the aesthetics of the game. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. Yeah, we get it. So how's the gameplay? How's the mechanics? Well, it's tough as nails. It's really goddamn difficult, to be completely honest. And that's probably because it's originally an arcade game. And arcade games, as you know, were designed to, you know, suck quarters out of you, as they gotta make money somehow, right? And to suck more quarters out of you, well, let's make a really hard game. So they'll keep pumping those quarters in. Well, they definitely succeeded in doing that. This is definitely a tough as nails game, alright? Now, I hear a lot about roguelikes and roguelites games and gamers talking about how difficult that genre is, and it certainly is very difficult. But if you do come from that genre, you do like roguelikes, you do like just a challenging game in general, check out Metal Slugs. Even though it's not a roguelike or a roguelite or a rogue anything, it does definitely feature similar like challenge scaling as roguelike games. Is basically what I'm trying to say is very difficult, okay? As again, because it is an arcade game, that's how they designed it. However, you know, they didn't design it in such a way where it's like purposely just out to rip you off or anything like that. It's actually a very fun game, and the challenge actually adds to the fun factor of the game. I mean, if this game was too easy, it would just be another side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, but because there is a huge amount of challenge that it demands so much from the players, that it has actually developed a cult following of just hardcore elite players just, you know, trying to get top tier in that scoreboard. And again, that's one of the reasons why the leaderboard is actually important in this game. Unlike most games, points actually do matter, as that is the point of the game, is to garner as much points in a run as you possibly can. Alright, so you're into that kind of like extremely demanding gameplay. Metal Slug is definitely, you can't go around Metal Slug. It's very challenging indeed, and you'll see me die many times, especially while I'm recording. So my playability actually decreases quite a bit while I record. You know, chew gum and walk kind of thing, right? But as far as mechanics goes, it's very strong. It's a, you know, side-scrolling kind of action game where, you know, there's branching paths, lots of stuff on the screen to pay attention to. It's going to really challenge your ability to dodge, to pattern recognize, and a little bit of puzzle solving as well. Well, not in the traditional sense, but in the way that you're going to have to sort of figure out the best route of dodging bullets, I want to say. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now. But yeah, it's a challenging game, and like I said, there's branching paths and there's pickups. You can actually upgrade your guns and get new guns and stuff like that. Well, you can't upgrade, just get new guns and stuff like that. And each level is actually, it has good level design. Each level actually does offer different gimmicks. Like this one here, when you get hit by a zombie, you actually turn into a zombie, and then your grenades get turned into this giant blood laser beam that just annihilates everything on the screen. Which is actually really, really cool. Super fun. I really like that. You can actually use a knife as well if you get close enough to the enemies. However, it's very, very dangerous, as you have to get close to the enemies, and there's a high chance of dying if you do that. But it's very, very powerful. That's the trade-off. And there are grenades. There's a limited amount of grenades. You start off with 10, I believe, and then you can pick up more as you progress, possibly. And they're very, very useful. Don't be afraid to use them. You're more than likely going to die before you run out of them anyways. Unless you're super elite, then, you might want to play a little more conservatively. But if you're super elite, you probably don't need me to tell you how to play the game anyways. It does have a lot of variety in the gameplay with the weapon, weapon upgrades, or not weapon upgrades, but the weapon pickups, and with, each level having its own little gimmick and experiences and things to learn about it, as well as just, learning how to dodge the bullets effectively. This game also... Oh, damn, that really hurt. Yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, like I was saying, even with all that in mind, and as I was saying, this is actually a very challenging game. There's just one thing about the game, though, about the port, that does kind of undermine the challenge of Metal Slug. You see, in the arcade, how many times you can continue is completely dependent on how much money you bring to the arcade, okay? So how many quarters you brought. And of course, you die too much, you're going to have to pay a lot of money, so you're going to want to minimalize that as much as possible. But in the port, you don't need to pay quarters, okay? What they do instead is to give you 20 credits, and that'll be the equivalent of $5 worth of quarters. And if you run out of them, then that's game over. No more continues. Now, that does marginalize the difficulty a little bit, because, you do come in with $5 worth of credits, essentially. And in real life, as a kid, you don't always have $5 worth of credits. So it's actually, in a way, harder in real life when it was in the arcades. But even despite that, even with 20 credits, which is actually quite a bit, and even just on normal mode, you're still going to have a pretty hard time finishing this game all the way to completion, even on medium mode, especially if this is your first time playing, especially if you're inexperienced. But, if you are an actual, if you're experienced with Metal Slug 3, and you're just, wondering if this is worth your time, like, as a Metal Slug fan, you're probably curious, is this port worth getting? Well, for $8, I think it is. I really think it is. Unfortunately, the menus and the bonus features is extremely bare and very, very minimum. But they actually did do, a pretty decent job at porting over the core game, and I believe that's what's really important here. The graphics is there. It runs smoothly. It looks like it. It sounds like Metal Slug 3. I personally think Metal Slug 3 is probably the best out of the franchise, even though I loved all the Metal Slugs. So that, you get basically the best best game in my opinion for the package. And yeah, so as far as porting, something that was true to the original arcade, they've done a good job in that aspect. Again, the menus and the bonus features, unfortunately, very, very minimum. But that's it. It's $8, so what can you ask for, really, though, right? Now, if you haven't checked out Metal Slug 3 yet, this is your first time, I definitely recommend it. It's a classic game. It's a legendary game. A game that has inspired and influenced a lot of modern game developers, and especially in the indie scene. So, if you're a fan of indie games, or even just modern games in general, it's a good idea to kind of experience, the games where the people making your games came from. And Metal Slug 3 really is one of the best games of that era. And, it'll get compared to Contra and games like Contra, but I always found Metal Slug to be better than Contra myself. I always preferred it over Contra. Gunstar Heroes is another game that gets compared to sometimes. I love Gunstar Heroes as well, but I don't know about covered or not. It's kind of an older game. But we'll see now. Anyways, yeah, back to Metal Slug 3. Yeah, if you haven't played Metal Slug 3, definitely check it out. It's a very, very fun game, even to today's standards. And it's a classic. It's it's a legendary game. It's influential, so definitely check it out. I mean, for $8, you can't really go wrong. honestly, is still a quality game. Even if they just ported just the arcade game without any settings whatsoever, you know, without any features whatsoever, just the game, I would still recommend it. Maybe not for $8, maybe for $5, but I think $8 is you know, a fair value for what you're getting in this package. Alright. So here we are, we're at another boss here, and each boss is actually pretty fun and pretty unique and different as well. They don't really recycle a whole lot of mechanics. Each boss will definitely feature different mechanics and different challenges. Some will feature different phases and such. So yeah, this game definitely offers a lot of variety if that's what you're looking for. Variety in level design, variety in mob design, variety in weapon choices and weapon pickups. So you're not going to get bored of this game if you're really into this sort of genre. And it certainly does incentivize a lot of replayability, I want to say. Does that even make sense? But anyways, yeah, you get what I'm saying. Because, you know, this is an arcade game. Again, it's all about getting to the top score in the leaderboard. So you know, bragging rights and stuff. But that's the fundamentals of arcade gaming, though. It really is about the score. It really is about the leaderboard. So again, that's another reason why this game is worth replaying over and over again, just to get on that high score and stuff like that. But anyways, that's Metal Slug 3. I think you guys get the picture. Arcade gaming, especially games like... I actually started with Metal Slug and Street Fighter. They were the first games I ever played as a kid. I started in the arcades, not on a console or a PC or anything like that. But there you go, a little glimpse into my history. Anyways, I think I've blabbed on long enough. This is Metal Slug 3. If you enjoyed this, please, you know, show me some love. Like, share, fave, comment. Let me know if you played Metal Slug before. Let me know, you know, how you felt about it if you played as a kid. And, like, share, fave, comments. But most importantly, help me grow, feed me my vegetables, and subscribe. Well, that's enough from me, guys. Kind of went on a tangent there. Aldershot out.